You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Steve DeSager.
The Bengals pulled out a victory at Dallas Monday night, 27-20. Each team now 5-8. With under 2 minutes left in a tie game, Dallas muffed a blocked punt, giving Cincinnati a first down after its recovery. And this was right after a 4th and 27. Jamar Chase with the game-winning touchdown reception with about a minute to go. His second TD of the night. Chase had 14 catches for 177 yards. Saints quarterback Derek Carr could be out for the season, according to NFL media, with a broken left hand. Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell's knee injury is a bone bruise. Sunday he was carted off with his leg in an air cast. And Panthers rookie running back Jonathan Brooks did tear his ACL again. He'd hurt it just over a year ago in college. The 4 finalists for the Heisman Trophy include Boise State running back Ashton Genty and Colorado wide receiver and defensive back Travis Hunter, also Dylan Gabriel and Cam Ward.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Today's playbook, we have DC Capstone Report joining us to talk the college football playoffs, Bama being left out, the state of college football, Bama, the portal, and more.
All right, good morning. Welcome into the show. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. Once again, it is the Martin Houston Show powered by Box Eye Care. And we want to invite you to get in on the conversation on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline at 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. That is the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline. Remember, Empowerment Strategies and Solutions, an education, equipping and empowering company. We speak, we coach, we train. We love the opportunity to help you. If you're a new leader and you're looking to develop individually, professionally, personally, then we can help you do that. You need to join the championship mindset program, and we'll get you that customized playbook that will help you not only know you, but also know how to equip and empower the team and those you are called to lead. All you need to do is go to martinhouston.org, and you'll click the Book Me tab, fill out the information, and we'll set up a call to begin the coaching process. All right. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today.
All right, we have DC Capstone Report joining us this morning. How you doing this morning, DC?
Oh, doing great. X, how are you this morning?
Doing well. So, DC, we talked about it some yesterday, but want to get your opinions. College football playoff, the 12 teams are set. Bama was the first team out. SMU made it in over Bama after losing. Well, actually, technically, Clemson made it in over Alabama by winning the ACC championship, keeping 2 teams from the ACC in it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Clemson wins and they jump Bama because that's the way the structure is of the playoffs to go in because they win the ACC championship, they get in. SMU, although they lost the game, they still stay ahead of Bama. They don't drop any further below them. In all honesty, everybody can say I'm biased and I'm a Bama homer and all that sort of stuff. I don't think they've got the 12 best teams in the college football playoff. I don't think SMU is better than Alabama. I don't think SMU is better than South Carolina or Ole Miss for that matter. So the only problem I have with it is the criteria that is supposed to be used by the committee and the inconsistency of how they applied that criteria. And I look at it analytically from my legal mind, and I don't see how they reached the conclusion. In my opinion, they came down to a fact where they had to take Clemson, and it was such a close game that they felt like they'd be ostracized if they didn't take SMU, and Alabama got left out. It had nothing to do with the criteria that they were supposed to use. Because, in fact, if you look at it analytically, if they had used the criteria they're supposed to have used, then Alabama would be in. If they used the criteria that they said they used, then Ole Miss should have been in above SMU and Alabama. When the difference they said between SMU and Alabama, they used a criteria of bad losses versus close losses. And so that was inconsistent in the way they applied what they did. It was very subjective. And everybody's going to look at that and say, well, they can pick who they want to pick. But I think when they lay out criteria at the very beginning and you don't follow that consistently, then it gives a lack of integrity to the process.
Yeah, I agree with that. We talked about it some yesterday. This criteria, this standard that they've set, they've kind of screwed themselves with the different presidents that have been said. It's if a key player is hurt, that could cost you. It can cost you with the strength of schedule. Does that matter or does it not matter? Because they've said it does and it doesn't. They've said losing in the conference championship can cost you. When you look at Georgia last year and talking about the injury last year, you're looking at Florida State and things of this nature. When you look at the strength of schedule this year, what are they going to do going forward? Because it seems like each year and every year it's a different way that their quote unquote standard and system is getting blown up.
I don't know. I don't see the path forward here that's going to be a consistent pick. I think each year they have used one of the criteria of greater than the others to get the people they wanted to into the playoff, the people they felt most deserving to get into the playoff. I felt like the people in the room debated Alabama and SMU, and it all felt they were most deserving because they played a close game. If you use that same close game criteria, then Ole Miss had the best close game losses of anyone and they should be in. So I think it's wrong and inconsistent the way they apply it. I don't see a path forward for this committee to even redeem themselves next year.
And Ole Miss blew out the 2 teams that are Alabama's best wins. So if any case, Ole Miss had the best. They beat Georgia and South Carolina handedly.
Yes.
So and then on top of what you were just saying, Xavier, Beck got hurt in the championship game, so they didn't apply that to lowering Georgia's ranking. And then it's been announced Beck will miss the Sugar Bowl. And on top of that, you have Boise getting a bye as a Mountain West Conference team, and Clemson being the number 12 team below a team they beat in a Power 4 conference, but Arizona being ranked number 4. So the problem with this, and I can say I'm glad that there's 12 teams. I'm glad there's at least 12 teams getting in, because Martin Houston is of the mindset a loss doesn't determine your team and should not determine your season. A bad loss doesn't. If you watch any sport, any level, baseball teams get blown out, basketball teams get blown out, football teams get blown out in every level. The only level I ever hear people try to talk about losses to determine who's the best team is in college football. In college football, in D1 college football.
Yeah.
You know, I go back and look. You can go back and look, and I've used the Kansas City Chiefs, but let's take a different team. Let's take the New York Giants, who was 10-6 when it was only 16 games. Horrible team, majority of the year. But they were the best team. They were one of the better teams that got in as a wild card out of a division that had the Cowboys and the Eagles in it, which gave them their losses. So their losses came from good teams. Then they get in and they beat an undefeated Patriots team. And so every time but the sad part is I hear the Alabama people saying, the Alabama folks saying, they don't deserve to be in because of what they did against Oklahoma. They laid an egg against Oklahoma. They're 18 to 20-something years old, and they shouldn't have those high highs and those low lows, but they did. But that doesn't determine the whole body of work. And whatever his name is, Manuel, whatever, he said, we looked at the whole body of work. That's what a whole body of work means, people, is you look at what's the highest high of this team and what's the lowest low. Someone tell me what's the highest high of SMU. What's the body of work of SMU? Oh, they got close to beating the ACC champ. The ACC champ was 9-3, the same record that Alabama had.
The ACC champ got the doors blown off of them by Georgia and lost to South Carolina.
With
two teams Alabama beat.
Right, with 2 losses to the team in the conference that you were comparing the team that just got beat to. The best thing they did all year, supposedly, is get close to beating Clemson. The problem is this committee should the ratings, and I'll go to bed on this one. The ratings by the committee should never be public. How is it that every other poll, every other rating, everything that mattered has Alabama higher than SMU?
Should they use the computers?
Yes.
The BCS system?
Yes. I was about to say the old BCS computers have proven. The old BCS computers have proven. Everybody fuss about the BCS, but they've proven to be picking the correct teams year after year after year after year. And I don't understand why you would throw something out like that has got a proven record of picking because it takes into consideration all of those factors that they take into consideration. Yes.
No human error.
No human error. No, it makes no sense to me why. And I think that's one thing that should be looked at for this committee. Use the computer BCS model for the rankings when you're in the room, and then all you do is in the room use your subjectiveness to seed the teams. That's what they do in the NCAA room when they're doing the 64 or 68 teams are going to make the basketball tournament. You don't know what the poll. They use computer models for FBI. And that's why all these people who are gurus can predict brackets, because they're using the same analytical computer models. And then in the room, they use their subjective knowledge to seat them in where they're going to play and what position they're going to play in. So that's what's missing in this committee, a consistent analytical model.
We need to break here, but But I'm even fine with you having the committee, but the committee's ranking goes into as part of the formula. Let's get some human thought process. But let's stop putting athletic directors and people directly associated with that football program as at that high of a level. I mean, that's the problem with the bias of the committee. It's 13, so that's really not enough probably to spread around and diffuse the bias, because I think Ryan and I were talking, I think they said there were 4 to 5 people on this committee who had direct link to the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, I'm going to give you how the BCS ranked it. We'll come back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Tuesday morning to you. Now, of course, we know Tuesdays get a little busy, but right now we're not doing too bad. I do see some slowness on 15th Street, moving on that westbound lane at Stillman Boulevard, and also not doing too badly on Lurleen Wallace.
Electric Supply touch every part of what powers your life. Stop by CED in Tuscaloosa, Coleman, and Decatur, or All Phase Electric Supply in Albertville and Huntsville.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let
or Town Square Media Tuscaloosa radio websites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy and very mild today with a few periods of rain, maybe a thunderstorm in spots, the high 70. Tonight, rain ending by midnight, then turning colder, the low 37. For tomorrow, partially sunny and breezy, the high at 48. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 66 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care, and we have DC Capstone Report on with us. Want to address something really quick on the other side, because I said that you shouldn't judge teams by just the bottom of the schedule. It's the whole body of work, and the body of work means you look at the schedule, you look at what's happening, you look at what's going on, and you look at the teams they played, how those teams played. And you judge playoff teams if you're picking them off of anything if it's anything else other than it being decided on the field. The number one criteria needs to be, can this team beat all the teams in this playoff? Because that's what you're looking for, the best teams. So if you're not giving somebody an automatic bid, the teams who get in should be teams that you could stand and say, I believe this team can beat anybody in here if they play their best game. Not this team shouldn't be in because they had a bad game. So, JR, I get what you're saying. They didn't lay 3 eggs, number one. They laid one really bad egg in Oklahoma. They got beat by a Vanderbilt team. Look at when they played Vanderbilt. How many times have we seen a team get their monumental win and the next week they be off? Bama lost at Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt was playing at a high level at that time, executing at a high level at that time, playing with a lot of confidence at that time, and we had just beat Georgia. And that's on coaching. They have to figure out how to get them back. Then we turn around and play South Carolina. Then we turn around and play Tennessee at home at Tennessee. And that's our second loss. So okay, everybody says Vanderbilt's an egg. Vanderbilt's not a great team, but it was a trap game, unfortunately, for Alabama. And they did not respond. So it's egg on their face. The egg they laid was Oklahoma, without a doubt. But listen to this schedule. Where is there even a game? Nevada, Houston Christian, BYU, TCU, Florida State, Louisville, Stanford, Duke, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia, Cal. That was the schedule that SMU played. The schedule, that's what part of the body of work means. All the coaches who are on that staff, X and DC, should have been saying, okay, Bama got beat by Vanderbilt. Are we just going to look at the brand of Vanderbilt? Or are we going to look, and this is what the committee told us. We look at how they played, when they played, where they played, and how the team performed against them. So at the time that Vanderbilt beat Alabama, what was everybody's opinion of Vanderbilt after that game because of what Vanderbilt did to Missouri? Should have beaten Missouri and lost it. But Vanderbilt don't get credit for that anymore. Vanderbilt isn't getting credit for how good they played. Vanderbilt isn't getting credit, y'all, for how close they played Texas.
Vanderbilt should have beat Texas.
One last thought, and I'll let you. But then SMU is getting credit for how close they played. Do y'all understand? Vanderbilt beat Alabama, almost beat Missouri by a missed field goal, and almost beat Texas by a field goal. But yet we just put a team in the playoffs that played 2 teams at that level and lost both of them, but yet they got credit for almost winning. So shouldn't we stop dogging Vanderbilt and raise the level of Vanderbilt in their schedule, DC and X?
100%. And everybody forgets that Texas game. The reason Vanderbilt lost that game is because their coach panicked in the fourth quarter. And instead of punting, he went for it on fourth down on their side of the field. And Texas went up 10, and Vanderbilt turned around and drove right back down the field and got a touchdown to make it a 3-point game. They just didn't have enough time.
So, but DC, you see my point is everybody is saying SMU got SMU almost beat Clemson. And so they're saying that's a good body of work. Shouldn't Alabama get more credit for the team Vanderbilt? Because Vanderbilt almost beat, who did Vanderbilt almost beat? The number 2 ranked team going into this past weekend. That only has 2 losses.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
We got to get some calls. Alan, you're in on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. I almost only canceled horseshoes and hand grenades. When I was over in Saudi, those hand grenades we had helped us out a lot because we almost hit everything we threw at them. But,
undoubtedly, SMU must be in a battle because they almost won Saturday, and so
exactly
committee got them in.
Exactly. You know what? But my thinking is also, Martin. What do y'all think about this? A lot of this year, what they're doing this year, had a lot to do with Alabama doing last year. Alabama got in last year. What does that have to do with this year?
Everything.
In my opinion, I think it has a lot.
Agree.
And how the media came down, and how the media came down on them.
The noise was so great last year about Alabama getting in over an undefeated Florida State team. The noise was so great that the media this year, every person couldn't let Alabama do it again. No way they're going to do it because they just couldn't. And that's what you've seen. And that's what's influenced. And that's what's made the difference.
That's what I thought. I have one more question for you, and I'll hang up and listen to you. What grade, if y'all was the coach, what grade would you give all the coaches this year, including the head coach? And if DC, Martin, and Zay, if y'all was the head coach, what changes would you make for next year?
Can we hold that? That's going to be like a whole show topic.
Okay, can I get DC's opinion then? I'll leave you and X alone. I just want to get DC's input.
We'll bring him back in when we do it. Go ahead, DC.
Okay.
If you're talking with the head coach, I would give Kalen DeBoer a score of 85 out of 100. I think this year. I would give the defensive coordinator an 80, and I would give the offensive coordinator about a 65. And if I was going to make a change, I'd make a change on offensive coordinator. And that's just my opinion.
Woo, wow. There we go. All right. Hey, and Jared Smith makes a good point. What happens if Alabama doesn't get cheated out of that touchdown and it's 24-10? Could we have made the same type of comeback that SMU made? Great point, Jared. It's
very possible.
It's very possible because at that point it's 24-10 and we have a whole quarter to go. And scored 17 points in less time than that against Clemson. So who knows? But anyway, it's funny how we say Bama's held to a different standard. The Bama fans are holding Bama to a different standard, guys, than everybody else is. I mean, they're saying that we should have did this. Everybody in this playoff is at the hands of the committee, to be truthful, whether it's getting in or how they rank you, right? So everybody's in. The problem is this committee came out with their polls before the end of the year. They put Indiana in early, strictly based off of wins who had not played anybody. And I was saying, okay, let's put them in. And I said that, put them in. But I think it was Cole Cubitt. He said, here's the problem with the committee. They don't understand that they can move people down even if they don't lose. Indiana and SMU should not, and Boise, because Boise should not be up that high. Boise should have never been, Boise was never top 12 because of the conference they play in. They should be treated just like Army. Why is Boise State treated different than Army?
Boise State this year is treated differently than Army because of the hype machine behind one Ashton Jeanty. You can't change my mind or anything. I think the hype of him and everything that he's done is the reason why Boise has been overhyped. Now, do I think they get the doors blown off of them, depending on who they play in the second round? Absolutely.
Here's a question, though, DC, before we get to Pat. DC, should Boise be getting a first-round bye?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not because that's not what the criteria that they start. I keep going back to this. They have a criteria of who gets these buys and how they get there. And there's no way, if you look at the body of work of Boise, that they should be getting a buy. I mean, if anything, you've got other teams that are in conferences that have played much better that should be getting the bye.
Here's the thing. Why not? I get, if you in your conference and the conference is a part of the playoffs, I don't know why, like I said, I don't know why Boise is different than the group of five. the other group of fives, but they are because Army's 11-1 and they're their conference champion as well. And there's a 19 team gap or something like that between those two teams, which makes zero sense. You put those two teams on the field, it will be just a juggernaut of a game running the ball. It'd be old school football, right? Running the ball. But here's the question. Why do you, if you're going to get the best 12 teams and 5 of them are already going to be decided no matter what their record is, you can't give those teams the automatic top 4 seeds. You just rewarded 2 of the worst teams in the conferences with first round buys. Boise State and Arizona State.
Yeah. And then the BC rankings, look at the BC rankings on them. Boise's 9th and Arizona State is 10th. And they get by, and they get in buys. Doesn't make any sense in the process.
In BCS rankings has SMU at 12, Clemson at 13. Clemson automatically gets in. Alabama falls to the 12th team by the BCS ranking. And that's what everybody else has too. Everybody else, all the other polls have it the same way, except for the committee. Pat, you're in on the Empowerment Strategy Solution Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
You got me? Good morning.
Hey, Pat.
Hello? Okay.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, Martin, your interview yesterday with the Bearded Wonder was absolutely brilliant. Some of the best radio I've heard in a long time. Just wanted to congratulate you on an outstanding interview. Wow. But I wanted to talk this morning and with DC and said, hey, how'd you like to have to be handicapping this bowl game down in there against Michigan down at the CarQuest Bowl? Good gracious. The portal looks absolutely crazy. We're paying a guy a whole bunch of money to make sure this kind of stuff doesn't happen. What is going on with Captain Morgan and letting Kendrick Law get in the portal? Come on.
Pat, okay, so what? Go ahead, DC, then I'll answer.
No, go ahead, X. You got your pulse on this. I think I know where you're going, but go ahead.
All right, Pat. So when we look at who's entered the portal, right, you actually got to think about who it is. Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice are really the only 2 guys that have played football this year for Alabama and on a consistent level, and they both missed games due to injury. Are the only 2 guys that actually. Danny Lewis was 4th string. Nikhil Bertrand, 4th string. Miles McVay, 3rd string. Hunter Osborne was hurt most of the year. I mean, Hill Hurley, bottom of the roster at cornerback. You look at.
What about Odom?
Odom was 5th, 6th string. The only reason he started playing more was because guys like Cole Adam got hurt. If Jalen Hill, your big guy, was healthy, he wouldn't have been playing this year. So he wasn't that high.
And he's an experiment. Odom is an experiment. Odom is not a good wide receiver yet. Does he have?
He's a tight end.
Does he have a potential upside? Yes, but he's not a great wide receiver, Pat. He's just a tall wide receiver. And we're getting some guys in this class that are wide receiver. He doesn't run great routes. And then we have to get the break, but to X's point, and I'll let you guys run on the other side. Kendrick Law was underutilized, Pat, by the offensive coordinator. By the end of the year, Ryan Williams was getting the speed sweeps instead of Kendrick Law. I don't know if something happened after the Tennessee game. If his attitude, I don't know what happened, but they stopped utilizing him in the game. He was underutilized. We'll miss him big time in the blocking game. And he's the one guy that I don't want to see go. The other guys that I've seen so far, I don't want to see them go because I'm a Bama guy, but I don't think that they hurt the first.
Coach and Otis have been gone.
Huh?
Coach and Otis, the other 2 guys in the portal, those guys have been gone. Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice and Caleb Odom were the only guys that you saw get on the field at all that were in the portal, and only one was a starter. So we've got 10 guys in the portal. You've got 1 starter in the portal. And I truly believe Pat would believe that Jalen Hill would be an upgrade from Kobe Prentice And I like our chances in the portal to land a really big name wide receiver that we'll talk about later this week.
All right. Thanks, guys. We got to get the break here. We're a little over. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Tuesday morning to you. Now, of course, we know Tuesdays get a little busy, but right now we're not doing too bad. I do see some slowness on 15th Street, moving on that westbound lane at Stillman Boulevard. And also not doing too badly on Lurleen Wallace.
And at 11 p.m., one lucky winner takes home $2,025 cash. Celebrate with us at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casinos. Must be 21 or older to play.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com. They offer reconditioned batteries starting at $39.99, and you will find all the batteries you need. And don't forget to ask us about our golf carts. That's DixieBatterySupply.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Hey, I want to remind you really quick that tonight at the Link at 610 Watermelon Road, we'll be hosting a first-time home buyers seminar. This is hosted by Martin Houston Real Estate and the Fenwell Institute. Go see us, and if you can't be there in person, if you're listening online, you can just tune in to the Facebook page that you're currently watching under Martin Houston Network, and you will be able to get some great information regarding buying that first home, or if you happen to be an investor looking to buy a home, some great knowledge is going to be happening there. Once again, that's the first time home buyer seminar. Are you ready to pursue that dream, X?
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We have DC Capstone Report with us. DC, before we continue, DC, I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on what Pat was saying real quick.
Well, I understand what Pat was saying, and I do agree Kendrick Law is probably the only one that people should be, worried about leaving. But from what I understand, and this is coming from people who are in the know, before Jalen Hill got hurt, he was ahead of Kendrick Law in the rotation. And since then, he has been coming back with a vengeance, and I think they expect him to be back full power next year. And I think it was just a crowded field, and Kendrick Law wanted to test the waters elsewhere. And I don't know that there was much more that Alabama could do about it based on where he thinks he's going to be here on the depth chart next year. So, I still think we're going to be in good shape.
Kendrick Law needs to find a place that will utilize him as not just a receiver. And I don't think that was going to happen. If he can find an offense that will use him the way the 49ers uses Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Law will bump up in the rankings. He did not get that this year with a run first offense with the heavy run quarterback that you could have built off of. I don't see it moving forward. And I think he's smart. I don't want to lose him. The question is, will we get somebody who can block out of the receiver core? And I don't know that, but X to the phone.
All right, we've got Todd from Jackson, Georgia, joining us. How you doing this morning, Todd?
I'm doing well. Good morning, guys. I just want to know your guys' thoughts. I know we're talking about what all happened and how we got right where we're at today. I would like to know your guys' thoughts on moving forward as far as strength of schedule. Is Alabama even considering, the possibilities of playing lesser opponents? Is that just, hearsay, or is that even, do you guys think that's even being talked about or even considered by the higher ups? Because I believe playing the tougher opponents is only going to make you better. And I'm pretty sure you guys would agree with that. And I surely hope that they're not even considering that moving forward.
with the process we have right now. I just want to know you guys' thoughts on that.
Well, to be honest with you, I think playing tougher opponents, we all agree, makes you better. But if that making you better doesn't matter to the committee and getting into the playoffs, then why would you do that and risk having another loss on your schedule? So Nick Saban's ideal all the time was to play tougher opponents to make you better, realizing if you play them early in the year and you have that loss, it doesn't matter because everybody will read that against you with your strength of schedule. But as he said on the TV, all of our TVs this past week, it appears the strength of schedule is out the window now. So why would any SEC team play a hard team in non-conference when they got so many hard teams to play inside the conference? You don't want to run the risk of getting that third loss. You can handle 2 losses inside the conference. You don't want to run the risk. Now, Alabama didn't have any losses this time non-conference, but who's to say that when you schedule a Notre Dame or schedule a Oregon or Ohio State, that you run the risk of having a loss in that game. And yes, you learn valuably from it, but the way the committee is using it against you might be worse for you down the road at the end if you were to lose one of those games. So yeah, I think Alabama is considering it, but I don't think Alabama's just considering it. I think every SEC team in the SEC that's in the top 4 slots in the SEC is considering whether or not they're going to risk another loss outside the conference.
Yeah, and appreciate the call, Todd. I agree with DC's point. SEC's tough enough. Why schedule tough out-of-conference games? We've got Chuck joining us. How you doing this morning, Chuck?
Yeah, good morning to you all again. You four, and I see DC is with you this morning. And, I was just speaking, I don't want to take you off topic. You were speaking on SMU. I never thought today that they would be relevant again. I remember that I came to that time of SMU, before the death penalty. The 82 team with Eric Dickerson and Craig James, Pony Express, they played Grambling at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, the Cowboys' old stadium, and Grambling was beaten 20 something. And then in 1983, I got a chance to see them in person. I went with my parents to the game in Shreveport, Louisiana at Independence Stadium to watch them, the Pony Express. Those guys had left, but Reggie Dupart was still there. Dupart is from the New Orleans area. He played at John Curtis Christian School. Dupart was the star running back and played the Patriots. And SMU beat Grambling by 5 points. And I think they gained respect for Grambling during that time. That was when they had Eric Dixon and James there. Ron Meyer was still coaching. Then came Bobby Collins from Southern Miss, who coached Reggie Collier, the quarterback who was a star quarterback at Southern Miss before Brett Favre. And just when that death penalty came, I remember that death penalty in '85. I remember that morning I was getting ready for school, and it was all over the news. Not knowing that SMU would be this name that they are now, being in the college football playoffs. And you think about how they worked themselves up. They end up, when they got themselves back, they were in the group of 5. Now they're on the Power 4 level again. This is a team that used to beat up on the University of Texas. But it shows you how things change. I even look at Boise State. Boise State used to be a FCS school when it was 1AA. Now they Power 4. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to get to break there, and we'll pick up that Boise conversation. But really quick on your SMU thing, SMU was doing NIL when NIL wasn't legal, and they built a powerhouse. So why would we be surprised that if SMU becomes relevant? SMU has billions of dollars. The team is located. Think about this: TCU and SMU are both located in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Guess where the committee meets? I'm not saying anybody's gotten paid. I'm just pointing out the obvious, DC. I mean, Grapevine, Texas is right out there, and the 2 teams that are questionable that got in, both are in the Metroplex. We'll be back on the other side and put the finishing touch on this edition of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we're going to talk to Mike Detillier, WWL, the Big 870. We'll cover this transfer portal, and we're going to talk about what's next for the Alabama Crimson Tide. All starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, some slow traffic now on 359 as we've got some trouble on the northbound off-ramp to 15th Street. That accident is blocking the right lane of the off-ramp, so it's got traffic pretty slow in the area. And if you're moving on University Boulevard right now, you will notice...
For Jesus said, I am come that ye might have life and have it more abundantly. Yes, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Have a Merry Christmas from Taco Casa.
Houston Hydrosteam. That's Houston Hydrosteam. Quality work you can stand on. Whether you're looking for carpet and upholstery cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, residential or commercial water damage, and a whole lot more, you need to call Houston Hydrosteam at 205-553-9460.
Delivers within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea. Visit them online at tacocasa.com. That's tacocasa.com. Quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. So many comments to get to. We'll not get to them all, but SLC Bama girl from Salt Lake City said SMU almost beat Clemson. They participated and received a coveted participation award. Bid, play nobody, beat nobody, be nobody, equal participation invite. Greg from Punta Gorda said, consider this. If the committee, and this is a great point, if the committee leaves SMU out of the playoffs because of strength of schedule, it then forces them to look at Texas, Indiana, Boise State, Arizona State, and possibly even Ohio State because they had very easy schedules. If FCU stays in, Alabama being left out and not SMU getting in is the focus, and it's not on the committee or other obvious issues. DC?
Agree 100%. That's something that I said before when I started out. Inconsistency is a way that they went in this. They inconsistently applied the criteria in order to benefit themselves and put who they wanted to in. And it made it a lot easier on the committee. The backlash is on Alabama, not on the committee.
All right.
Yeah. We've got Super Joe in on the hotline. How you doing this morning, Super Joe?
Oh, I'm doing all great. How you doing, Marty Marr?
Doing good.
Well, I'm going to say this with Alabama from first perspective. Okay, losing to Oklahoma 24-3, and then, okay, Vanderbilt before that. Okay, those mistakes losses like that are very costly, and we gave the committee a full-blown case. But then on the other hand, did they put somebody in there that was better than us? Absolutely not. Okay, I can just tell you right now, if we're going to sit up there and substitute Jaws for Flipper when it comes down to the main event, then okay, the committee going to have to pay for that, because I can tell you right, SMU is going to be like Dalmatians going into a pit bull jungle fight. I don't think they're going to last. I don't see Boise State lasting, because they let a lot of like I said. I'm glad they started the 12-team playoffs, but I see some people in there that just ain't gonna make it. I see teams that just not gonna make it. But don't get me wrong, but let's give Kalen DeBoer credit where it's due. Now, I'm not trying to be funny, but he did something that Coach Bryant that Coach Saban didn't do their first year. You know what that was? Beat Auburn.
He beat Auburn. But yeah. Hey, we appreciate you calling in, Super Joe. Call back in a little earlier next time and we can get more in depth with what you got to say. DC, when you look at what has happened, what do you think Coach DeBoer and his staff go as they prepare for a bowl game and into the off season, with his comments going from we were in retention mode last year to buyer mode essentially this year?
Yeah, I think he's looking to build this team into the team that he wants, and I think that's what he's looking for in this portal. So I think we're going to make some splashes on getting people in that's going to fit his system. And I think instead of retaining and trying to keep their head above water, they're going to be on the instead of maintaining, they're going to be on the offensive to try to build. And I think that's what this team needs to do.
Where do you think they go first for the portal?
I'd say offensive line would be my first choice. I think it's where they're going to go. Try to get the types of players that he wants to play, the kind of offensive scheme that he wants to play.
I think we got to get depth at defensive line, though, based on who we're losing. I think that's going to be a big need area. That would be my second.
That would be my second place: offensive line, defensive line.
I am disagreeing with you, but not as an argument. I think D-line is more critical because we did get some guys. We got 4 guys and potentially another one, Hayward.
I think linebacker.
And linebacker would be another.
Inside linebacker.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
right.
There's a lot of needs there. DC, tell them where they can find you real quick, man.
DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page, and check out RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com. And quickly, a shout out to one of your sponsors, North River Timber, donated to the Christmas special, which was a huge success. And I want all your people to know that your sponsors not only care about you, but care about the community as well.
Thank you for that shout out. And speaking of that, he'll join us tomorrow morning. Courtney White with North River will join us tomorrow morning in segment number 1. So we'll give him a shout out. And for Lloyd Townsend said, hey, Dabo's not loyal to the university. He's not, and he shouldn't be. He coaches at Clemson. He coaches in the ACC. And SMU getting in puts more money in his pocket to help him fund his players and his NIL mission that he follows, as well as it puts a lesser opponent in. I mean, would you want to put Alabama in and you potentially have to play them? Or would you rather SMU be in a team that you already beat? So anybody that's shocked by that, Lord, don't be. I mean, anyway, remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. That was DC Capstone Report. That's Xavier Houston. I'm Mark Houston. That's Chase Brumfield. We'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. If you missed the entirety of the show, instant replay, 7 a.m. right here on your home for Alabama Sports.